Welcome to our Portuguese Table podcast. I'm Maria Lawton, the Azorean Green Bean.
And I'm Angela Simoes, and we're just two chicks dishing about Portuguese food, culture, and what it means to be Portuguese.
So grab a glass of vinho or un copo de café and join us as we talk about our favorite foods, reminisce about growing up Portuguese,
and interview some of our community's most successful chefs and food writers.
So sit down at our Portuguese table.
Bom dia, boa tarde. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode.
Bom dia, bom dia. How are you, honey? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I can't complain. It's a very cold and wet day here in New England. How is it in California?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, go ahead. Make me feel bad.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like, I think it's 70 something today.
Oh,
and yeah.
Okay, I don't want to hear anymore. Don't tell me anymore. Don't. I don't want to hear it. No. And we do this all the time. I'll be talking to Angela or sending a message and I'm like, oh, it's so cold and raw and this and that. And she sends me like little snap pictures of like the sun and the weather that it's right now in her home. So she does this to make me.
I like to rub it in.
Yeah, come on over to California.
So you know why I do that? Because I'm getting back at you for being on the East Coast and having access to all these wonderful Portuguese restaurants and resources. Because I don't have that. So you get stuck with the crappy weather, but you got the good restaurants. I get stuck with the good weather, and I'm limited. So that's tit for tat.
We heard it here, folks. We heard it here. That is too funny. Okay. All right. Then you can absolutely do that because I know what you're going through out there. So yes.
And today one of our guests is just making me
know.
And I haven't even been there and I miss going there.
Well, it's funny. I have to say this right off the bat. I know Jessica, and I'm usually there at least once a week. If Bob is home, oh no, sometimes two, but I don't want to go there. But at least we try to be there at least once a week, at least. We're not counting the weeks that I show up for breakfast and then I go show up for lunch another day and on the weekends show up for dinner. I am not counting that. But I can honestly say this is now, just personal stuff. It's one of our favorite places. So I want to make sure I say that right off the bat in the beginning. But we have been wanting to have her on, and she's a very busy woman. And I'm just so excited that she said yes and that we have her on today. So, Jessica, are you there, honey?
Yes. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Hello. Well, again, thank you for being here and for being here at our Portuguese table. Now, I've spoken about you to Angela, so she is well aware.
Lots and lots.
She is well aware of
hopefully all great things.
Oh, yeah. For the benefit of our listeners, so this is Jessica Coelho, or Coelho, wherever you are, however you want to pronounce it, owner of Tia Maria's European Cafe in New Bedford, correct?
Yes. Yep. A lot of Portuguese people will call me Coelho. Then you have the Americans that will say Coelho, and then you have others that are just like Co-El-Ho.
Yeah.
I respond to it. I even respond to Maria now.
That's awesome.
Do you really?
Well, because it's called Tia Maria's European Cafe. So, when people find out that I am the owner, they're like, oh, Maria. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I do explain to them how we came about naming it Tia Maria.
Yeah. So let's explain it to our audience. How did the name, what was the name after? Because I know the story. So
when I decided to open up a little cafe, one of the things I always wanted to do, I knew, right off the bat, I had to come out with a name that everyone can relate to. I didn't know what the future was going to be, and I knew I wanted to have a brand. So for me, when I was, brainstorming, trying to figure out, what can we call this cafe or, my restaurant? And it dawned on me, just from looking at the aesthetics of the building, because I feel like I give the full package. It's not just the Portuguese cuisine. It's, the building's from 1825. So there's history there. And then our street has the cobblestones. So it made me feel like I was in Portugal. And then I was like, Tia Maria's, everyone has one.
Yeah.
And I have 4. So for me, it's just one of those relatable names, down the road, if I wanted to move on, which I don't. I can never see myself ever moving on from this. I'm in it for the long haul. But Tia Maria's was something that I think everyone in this particular area could relate to. And when they do come in, often I do hear like, it feels like I'm at my Tia Maria's. So that's how the name came about.
Well, awesome. Like I said before, it's in downtown New Bedford, which, I grew up in New Bedford, and where it's located is right next to the Whaling Museum. It's right behind the Whaling Museum. So we get to enjoy it a lot. We love it there. And Jessica's well aware of our love for everything that comes out of that kitchen. But for those of us that want to know more about you, could you start with your parents? Because I know your parents, where they're from. And I know they play a very big part of Tia Maria's
Yes,
restaurant.
absolutely.
So can you start with your parents?
Yeah, so my parents are from mainland Portugal. They're from Serra da Estrela. My father's from Linhares da Beira, and my mom is from a nearby town called Saglidage. So they're from the mountains, and my dad came here a little after my mother. My mom came here in the 70s, of course, the American dream, more opportunity. My mom's one of 10, and my uncle actually matched up my parents, and they wrote each other for about a year. And then my dad, in one of the letters, was like, "I want to marry you." And they met for the first time with the intent to wed in Boston. They wed within the month. And so they came in the 70s, worked very hard. And, growing up as a kid, one of the things that my parents made sure was I stayed culturally connected with my Portuguese, background. And so every summer when most kids went to summer camp, I was sent off to Portugal to spend the summers with my family, my father's sister. And so from there, I developed a love for the culture. But also the cafe culture. It's like where you start your day. It's where you go after lunch. It's where you meet your friends. And I thought as a kid, or as a teen, I was like, wow, this is great. Like, I wish I could do this back home, because I felt like there wasn't, any place that, kids my age could kind of hang and have that experience. And so once I finished high school, obviously my parents had a great emphasis on, making sure I focused on my studies. My dad tried to push me into nursing, and I was like, not happening. Don't have the stomach for it. And, I decided to major in business, and I went to UMass Dartmouth. I graduated from the Charlton School of Business. And I can't say enough about that program, because it really gave me a well-rounded education in regards to, knowing how to market myself as a brand, also having an understanding of financials, accounting, and everything that it takes to run a business. Also, while I was in school, while I was studying, I always worked in the restaurant industry. I studied, I worked part-time. A few of my aunts and uncles also own restaurants in the area as well. And so I knew one day this was going to happen. I felt like I had the experience with the education. I'd be able to one day open up a cafe. Obviously, things take a little time. But finally, when I was 28, I was like, you know what, now or never. I don't have any children yet. Let's do this. If I don't do it, I'll be one of those that would think back and think, shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I went for it. And thankfully, it's worked out in my favor. And I've had huge support. You mentioned that my parents are heavily involved, and they truly are, more than I want them to be sometimes. They are retired. I do want them to enjoy, themselves, and they do. I told them, go back and forth to Portugal as many times as you want, just come back. So they do travel often. Just last year, they went back and forth 4 times. But they come, and when they are here, they're a huge asset, and they definitely push me. They make sure I don't stay comfortable. They always want me to do well, which is awesome to have that support. and they help me also keep it authentic. Any given time that someone walks into our cafe, they can find, my mom either, making one of, a dessert, a hujdos, or they can find my dad just even, helping me just by even cleaning a table. So we're a family place. So we give people that full experience. And I like to think we're welcoming, don't you, Maria?
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, what's great about this is that, with Jessica's mom, like she was saying, Senora Isabel, sometimes when they are here and not in Portugal, she's in the kitchen cooking. I mean, and it's like she's in there, she's got her bata on. For those that are not Portuguese, a bata is almost like an apron, but it covers more of you, and she's in there and she's cooking away, and and the dad, Stu Coelho, because that's what I call him always, he's like either, cutting the rodelas, which are potatoes. For those again who don't know, they're like thinly sliced potatoes that are turned into potato chips, homemade potato chips. He's doing that, or he's cleaning the table, and there he's always there, or in the springtime planting flowers outside the restaurant. I mean, it's a family business, and I know that it's Jessica's. It's not that the business belongs to her parents, but her parents are so supportive of wanting her to succeed and to do well and to help her as much as they can, that they're there whenever possible. And it's love. I mean, you can see how much they're so proud of you. And, and they it really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful feeling that you get when you're there. And I've said this before, and, I've said this to you and to your parents. I feel like I'm part of the family when I'm there. And I know a lot of other, customers or clients, however you want, feel that same way. And it's not every place that makes you feel that way. So whatever it is that you do, Miss Jessica, you just you're doing it, honey.
Yeah. I mean, I'm truly, truly lucky. And it's to the point, too, where a lot of times my customers, when my parents are in Portugal for a long length period, they'll ask, like, oh, is everything okay with your dad? I haven't seen him. And so it's become one of those things where I'm just like, no, he's fine. He's just enjoying his retirement. And like I said, I do wish them to spend more time outside of Tia's. However, it is a blessing also because I am very fortunate that I get to spend the amount of time that I spend with them because, one way or another, whether it's working, we're creating memories. This is time that I'll always, reflect and be thankful for it. And I stay thankful for it now and be grateful that I do have their help. And, in the time that I do get to spend with them, I truly do appreciate it because I know, at any time life can be cut short.
That's right.
So I'm curious, you said that you got a business degree, right? And then, and you always wanted to open a cafe, but did you you said you had food experience because you'd worked in restaurants and things like that. But as far as like creating the menu and things like that, because I think, and the reason I'm asking is because, you talk to a lot of people sometimes and they say, oh, I've always wanted to open a cafe or a restaurant, but I don't have any experience. Like I'm not a chef and things like that. So what would be, I don't know, I guess maybe your advice to those people who want to do something, or how did you overcome some of the challenges when it came to things that you maybe weren't an expert on, when it came to opening a restaurant?
Well, I don't consider myself a cook. I consider myself as just, cooking my mother's recipes like any other person would, like when people pick up Maria's cookbook, they're just following, recipes. A lot of the stuff that obviously I know how to make every single thing on my menu. I did have to learn. And because, you want to put out a product and you don't want to rely on anyone else. And like my parents say, and vou durar toda a vida. So it was one of those things like, okay, like I need to learn my mom's recipes. And I did. And, my whole thing, my advice to anyone that's looking to open up a restaurant, cafe for the love of, customer service, or, if they love the food industry, but they don't have the culinary experience, is to just do it with love. If you have the motivation to do it and to learn, it's achievable. I know for me, it was a little challenging because, cooking with my mom, it's not easy because she doesn't have proper measurements, like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I'm like, okay, what's a little bit? What's a little to you might not be, might be a lot to me. So that was a little bit challenging. But once we nailed our recipes and once we all got on the same page as to what our offerings would be and what would be on our menu, it takes time. I still feel like I have a working menu. I update my menu often. And it's all of course, based on customer demand. Sometimes I'll have customers call me and say, oh, I'd love to have cabrito on Friday. And I'm like, all right, let's see what we can do. So, I kind of just be willing to adjust. And I think because I listen to my customers and they keep my doors open, I listen to them, and it's really helped me grow the business as well because it's given me insight as to what my customers, what they're looking for and what they, want from Tia Maria's. And I think it's really helped in the success. So to anyone looking to open up a restaurant, I would say be willing to adjust and take constructive feedback, criticism, and roll with it and always look to improve.
Yeah, it's funny you say, well, first of all, you were 28 when you decided to do this, which, for me, I'm an old lady. I'm just thinking of when I was 28. I'm like going way back when now, folks. I'm thinking, that's really a very ambitious thing to do at that age. That's really amazing. I think it is. Because there are people who at a younger age would go, oh, I'll wait till, I'm a little older, or I'll wait till, this and this, or I'll wait for that, or, just whatever it is. And to be at 28 and know this is what I want to do. I'm going to seize the opportunity, the moment, and I'm just going to do it. And that's a fearlessness that not everyone possesses.
Well, I definitely rolled the dice. I was like, all right, I'm doing this. And I figured.
Yeah, but you know what? That's how to do it. That's the thing. And one of the things that we talk about this, and Angela, say it, agree if you think I'm right. And that is for the most successful Portuguese businesses that we have out there, that we've interviewed, that we've spoken to. That is the key thing right there. And that is, you have that thought, you have that dream, you have that ambition, and you just do it. You find a way and you just do it. Because it has to be there. It's got to be there. It isn't a type of thing where I'm going to wait for someone else.
No.
You cannot wait for someone else to make whatever you want to do happen.
Right.
It's your dream, not anyone else's. You've got to do it. And you have to be fearless. You have to do it. Now,
and you have to be willing to sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice went into this.
Yeah.
I'd say sacrifice, and you have to find motivation on the days, especially when it's most challenging, and you start to ask yourself, what the hell am I doing? Why did I do this? This is too much.
Yeah.
and I just want to say also kudos to your parents for being so supportive, because I think a lot of times we hear stories about how Portuguese parents are so risk averse, right?
Yeah.
And you tell them that you want to do something and they say, oh, no, that's just get a job, just pay your bills, don't cause a problem, just kind of fly under the radar. And which always cracks me up, because our ancestors took the biggest risk ever in exploring the world, and even, just a few generations back, coming and immigrating to the United States or to Canada or wherever they went. And then once they landed here, it was like, okay, that's enough risk for a lifetime. Everybody be conservative from now on,
Yeah.
So,
don't get me wrong. They had their reservations, however, but they also still gave me their blessings. They were like, all right, if this is what you want to do.
Yeah, that's amazing.
They knew that it was a risk. And, my dad was just like, oh, you have a good job. Why are you going to leave it? And once I explained it to them, and I don't know if I'm also very passionate. So I don't know if it was just a passion and my business plan. I'm like, look, this is how it's going to go. I'll have, I identified who my customers were going to be. And I don't know if I just put on a killer presentation to them, but they're like, okay, like this is what she's going to do, whether we say yes or no. And I think at that point they were like, okay, we're going to help her succeed. And they totally have. And I honestly don't think I would be where I am without them today, just in, not just with the cafe, but in life in general. They've always been, just very supportive, even, making sure like I stay connected with my Portuguese family, in Portugal. It was just always very important to them. And they were always just very supportive in regards to like traveling. I am truly lucky.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And, the other thing you mentioned about listening to your customers and having cabrit on Friday, well, you must have been talking to my husband, because he's the one who'll have the cabrit and the dobrada, and I'll be like, no, I don't think so.
No, you stick to your bifanas.
Yes. Oh my God. Her mom and now Jessica, they make the best bifana dish.
It's all about how you marinate them.
Oh my God. And
Maria, you've talked about this bifana before, so it
I
must be
have.
legendary.
It's like, so it's funny. Sometimes I go into the restaurant. I don't even see Jessica. I don't see her parents. I don't see anyone. But so Bob and I will go in, and the first thing we get is risos. We get risos de camarão, which is the croquettes, the shrimp croquettes. And that's the first thing we order. And we already know, because we don't go, oh, come back when we know. We just know everything. This is what we want to have. And sometimes we don't even look at the menu. And we go, okay. And then for me, it's a bifana plate. That's like amazing, with the rodelas and maybe some vegetables or, whatever. Or salad, whatever it may be. Or a side of soup, because they make this most delicious caldo verde, which is incredible. And so it's funny. Once that menu, whatever the waitresses bring it out back or whatever, all of a sudden, Jessica comes up. She goes, oh, I knew it was you, because it's always, it's like the same kind of thing that I always order when I go over. And I do try out different things, but that is like my staple. Like it's like I have to have my, I don't know, it's like the best bifana.
So next time Angela comes to the East Coast, she's going to have to visit.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to spend a month there, because there are so many places I want to visit.
I told her on the last podcast, now that I have like an extra bedroom now in my house, she can stay and stay here. And then we'll just do all the traveling around the area and just eat meat.
Girls trip.
Yeah. So is there a dish, okay, so aside from the bifana, is there a dish that you're known for? Because I was looking at your menu. You have a really awesome mix of traditional Portuguese dishes, fusion Portuguese dishes, and then some just general American food. So it's like a really good mix. So I'm wondering if there's like a dish that you're really known for, or maybe a couple of dishes.
So because we are in the historic district and it's very touristy in the area that we're at, we do offer just American staples. Like for lunch, we literally have a section that's called basic sandwiches for people that don't like to, adventure off, they like to stick to the basics.
The risk-averse people.
Right. So we try to cater to the masses. And but one of our popular dishes is our signature steak, which is made with a homemade gravy, garlic-based, vegetable and beef-based, and it's topped with 2 eggs, hot peppers, served with our homemade rice, and then also the hand-cut rodellas. That is what's super popular for us. We sell steaks all day. The other one that became kind of like a quick, it was kind of just like, okay, like I want to come up with, either a burger that, still had a Portuguese flair to it. The Azorean burger, which is...
I saw that.
Yeah. And
which is amazing, by the way. Amazing.
And thank you. And that actually, from my travels, just going to San Miguel and vacationing there, I got inspired because I noticed that a lot of their burgers had queijo do São Jorge, but rightfully it should. And, pineapple is huge in San Miguel as well. And so we brought over the Azorean burger, and that's one of our top sellers, in addition to the Portuguese burger, which the Portuguese burger, it's the half-pound burger with the linguiça, egg, hot peppers, and we put rodellas in the burger as well.
The rodellas are in the sandwich, Angela, in it.
That's my kind of, I love that. I actually put fries in my hamburger just whenever I get one. So that's, you and I are on the same wavelength. That's awesome.
So that became a popular lunch item as well. And then there's some things that I was just like, okay, like, because I serve breakfast and lunch. So I'm like, okay, like what can we, use some of our breakfast items, some of our breakfast prep for, always looking to use ingredients and multiple entrees and whatnot. And so we came up with the Portuguese nachos, which has onions, peppers.
Yes, I saw those too. That's awesome.
Yeah. And, it's a lot of our breakfast prep just thrown on nachos with, mozzarella cheese. That's a huge seller here. And then we have chicken Mozambique tenders.
My girls love that.
Yeah. We make our sauce on a little bit on the thicker side. And it sets us apart from other Portuguese restaurants in the area. And so we kind of added our own twist. Ours is a little spicier as well. So just putting our own little twist on things, I think, has set us apart from other Portuguese restaurants in the area. We are lucky enough that we're surrounded by so many great places.
Yeah, it's quite an extensive menu. So for anyone who wants to go look, the website is tiamariaseuropeancafe.com, all one word. And man, when I opened the website and I saw the picture of the place, just the picture, I was like, damn it, I want to go there now. It's not fair. And then I started looking at the menu, and it's just, and then I think, it's probably a good thing I don't live there, because I think I would be there like every day. I mean,
you'd be a regular customer.
I totally would. I'd be like Norm, and I would have my own stool at like the same place every time. Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, when we opened up the cafe too, like I thought I was just going to be, a traditional European cafe where it was just coffee, pastries, a few desserts, but I realized quickly that doesn't pay the bills.
No.
And so it's been quite interesting to see how the business has evolved. In the morning, we have like our early morning coffee drinkers. Then we'll swing into like full breakfast where we offer, São Jorge sandwiches, queijo de serra sandwiches. We'll do, like breakfast pizza. We have a few twists. You can have salad.
It has the masa, the sweet bread, French toast, and the rouge lèvres, and a sandwich. Oh my God. Yeah.
And then we swing into lunch, and lunch is where you can find a lot of, the Portuguese staples that you'd find at many restaurants. And then when we do dinner on Fridays and Saturday nights, we also become like a late night dessert location where people will come in, afterwards and have dessert and enjoy some port wine. So it's been interesting to see how the business has evolved, and I'm loving all aspects of it. It's been great to just, be a staple in the community. People think New Bedford, and they're starting to think New Bedford and Tia Maria's hand in hand. I worked many, many years at Antonio's, who's been around, for the last 25 years. And, to just be known as a Portuguese restaurant in New Bedford and be on their level when I'm still so much in my infancy has been truly amazing.
Yeah. And so speaking of your customers, so I know New Bedford and Fall River, like that whole area is heavily Portuguese to begin with, but I mean, it's not 100%. So what's the demographic? Is it like a good 50-50 mix of Portuguese and non-Portuguese, or is it mostly Portuguese?
So during the week, I catered a lot to the neighborhood folks and also the tourists. We have the ships to Martha's Vineyard and also Nantucket right nearby. And then we also have the Whaling Museum, who they draw 100,000 guests per year. So during the week, I'm more of like the tourist neighborhood joint. Weekends, I become more of a destination where people that live in the city, like they come to Tia Maria's, and that's where I get my Portuguese clientele. Because, we're working during the week. We can't go to Maria's. We close at 3. They're still working. So weekends are like super slamming here. Generally, if you come for breakfast between 9 and noon, I'm on wait pretty much the whole time. Lunches are pretty good as well. Sundays we only serve breakfast only. And, a lot of our customers are Portuguese, and they go to church, and they'll come to Tia Maria's, or they'll go to Tia Maria's first and then go to church. So it's been quite an experience to connect with the community in the way that we have, because during the week we cater to the tourists, and then the weekends it's like we're catering to our community.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it would be so dangerous. This is just on a personal level, because we know you're open for dinner on Friday and Saturday. So we're always there for dinner on the weekends. But I think if it was open every night for dinner, I don't know what we would do, because that would be very dangerous. I love it that it's on weekends. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're a family place, and I'm a firm believer also in work-life balance. And for me, I think the demand is there that I could potentially open for more dinners. However, I think even the hours that we are open, I mean, I'm putting in like 70 to 80 hours a week. It's insane. Yeah. And so I couldn't imagine having dinner 7 days a week. Like, kudos to the restaurants that are open that late every day. Because for me, it's more about like, I like the scheduling that we have now. I feel like we still reach the customers that we're trying to reach. And at the same time, we still have a nice work-life balance, even though I'm working 80 hours a week.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
No, absolutely not. And I also think, too, it's like, this is my baby. So it's, I want to make sure everyone has a positive experience. I mean, I do have a general manager who's also my fiance, and he helps tremendously as well. Thankfully, we're both on the same page when it comes to ensuring every guest has a positive experience. And, our goal is to make sure, they tell their friends and their friends tell their friends. Because each year, luckily, we've continued to grow, and, I don't see a slowdown. Hopefully we'll continue to grow from here.
Yeah. Well, now that we're sitting here at this table, and we all have a glass of wine on our hands, and we're talking, and you just mentioned your fiance. What is his name?
Ryan Aruda.
So you will be Mrs. Jessica Aruda.
Mrs. Jessica Coelho Aruda.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I can't drop the Coelho.
Well, what's funny is my daughter did the same.
Oh, did she?
She did. Even though she had a very long last name she married into, she kept the Lawton name in there. Yeah, she did.
Well,
so I'm glad to hear that.
I think for us too, it's like, it's more just, one, my dad doesn't have any boys. It's just me and my sister. And it's like, I want to carry on the last name, And,
yeah.
Even though it's still also a very Portuguese last name, I'm still cool with it. I'm still trying to hold on to the Coelho.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I held on to my maiden name as my middle name. So I'm totally with you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my parents only gave me a first and last name, and that was it, because they said they had 6 and they only used the first and last. So why were they going to give me, 5 other names? So it kind of worked out, because I'm going to just bump Coelho to my middle name.
Wow, that is unheard of.
Yeah, I know.
I thought for sure you had a Maria in there.
No. But I can probably throw it in there at one point.
Well, yeah, when you go do your name change, for the official after you're married, just throw Maria in there, and
Yeah, why not?
All done with one. So he's a good Portuguese boy.
Yeah, so we mixed. He's Azorean, I'm continent, but it's working out because he loves the mainland as much as I love the Azores. So luckily for me, it's working out.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I'm half and half. I'm half Azorean, half mainland. So you produce great babies that way.
Yeah. Those are in our future. Yes, absolutely. I hope so, right?
Mm-hmm. So are there things that like maybe his family makes that your family didn't, and then like has he helped influence the menu at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I have an Azorean steak because of him, actually, because people from the Azores, San Miguel, they love their spice. And so he helped assist with that. He's like, you need something spicy for, the Azoreans. We love our spice. Sometimes we'll have like a cebolada as well. I didn't know like what a cebolada was.
Oh my God, I love cebolada.
Yeah, delicious. And that's very popular in San Miguel. And I've heard about it in mainland, but it wasn't as crazy as when you go to St. Michael and cebolada and everything, really. And so a lot of times we used to have it on our menu because we're always trying to switch up our menu, keeping it fresh so that people stay interested. And so we used to have on our menu an Azorean what was it? A sablada hamburger where
Right, it was in the burger.
smothered. Yep. It was smothered. We had a sablada on chicken sandwich that was smothered as well. We took it off for a little bit, but we do put it on special. And every time we do, it sells. So maybe when we do our next menu update, we'll have to sneak it back.
You know how my mom did, I loved having the sablada, was with fish.
Ooh, delicious.
Yeah. And that was always something when she would have, like, you know, the fresh fish, and it would be broiled or, you know, barbecue, whatever, you know, whatever done, she would have either sablada on top of or sablada on the side. That was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorite ways.
I've used your recipe for that, Maria, and it's, oh my God, it's so good.
The fish, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
For
amazing. Sure. It is amazing. Now, we're gonna ask you a couple of questions just so people also know what Jessica likes.
Yeah.
And so if we had to say, okay, Jessica, what is like your favorite dish that your mom makes for you? What's your favorite dish, honey?
So I love bacalhau à brás. So for those that don't know what bacalhau à brás, it's shredded cod mixed with fried onions, potatoes, all mixed in a bound of scrambled eggs, and it's topped with fresh sliced tomatoes. And I don't know if it's because of the way my mother makes it, but I have it other places, and I'm just kind of like, nope, my mom's still the best. But of course, everything your mom makes is the best. But our bacalhau à brás, I would say, is top notch. And then also the dobrava. We make dobrava every Friday night here. And that's the tripe stew with pork, shitty, linguiça, carrots, and white beans. And it's just so good, so hearty. It's served with white rice, and it's become Tia's favorite.
Isn't that something? Okay, now we're going to go the opposite now. What is your least favorite?
I cannot do Coelho. I don't know why. Too much.
Oh, how funny.
I just can't do Coelho. And I don't know if it's also from childhood experience when my family would trick me and tell me it was chicken. And I was like, wow, this is, different kind of chicken, but I just can't do it.
Well, what's funny is I don't care for Coelho either. And again, my husband does. He likes it. He'll have a rabbit stew. He likes that. But
Yeah.
I don't. It's so many bones in it, hardly any meat. And I'm right there with you on that one, honey. I'm right there.
I agree with you. But then I love sardines, sardinhas. Oh my gosh, I love the smell. I love the taste. I love everything about it. And of course, there's so much bone. But I mean, you can always, work around it.
Well, I know a lot of people that just eat the bones because they're so flexible, and I guess.
Oh no, I wish.
Yeah, no, I think depending on the size of the sardine, but if it's a mackerel, like the little horse mackerels, the chichache.
Yeah, you just eat the whole thing, right?
You eat the whole thing.
That too, right?
Yes, I love that.
I'll eat those. I'll eat those too, deep fried. So delicious.
They are like candy. I mean, well, they're not, but you just pop those in the mouth. Do you agree, Angela?
I've never had them.
We got to add that to your list.
No, because it's a couple things. One, I just haven't had like a lot of opportunity because restaurants don't serve them around here. Again, we have a few Portuguese restaurants, but they're kind of far away. And growing up in Sacramento, oh my God, we didn't have any. There was nothing. And then there's actually a chichache dinner coming up as a fundraiser this month that we're going to go to. So I think I might try them for the first time. But, I'm also, as proudly Portuguese as I am, I'm also third generation. So I'm pretty Americanized. So the whole eating of the fish head thing, it still kind of grosses me out. You know what I mean?
See, it has to be fried right. It has to be really crispy. And if it's done right and really crispy, it's just a crunch. You're just you're not even thinking of the whole thing. You just eat the whole thing, tail and all. But what we were mentioning before, which is even smaller than the chichache. I'm like, all of a sudden I can't think of the word now.
The English, the smelts.
The smelts, the thingish, which is even smaller than the chichache. They're like these tiny, almost like the size of your pinky. They're like that little.
Oh wow!
And they deep fry them also, and a little bit of salt. And oh My God, is it so good? And I love that whenever I go and visit family in the Azores, that they know I love my shishash, and that I love that also, the patinga, that which is like so good.
Yeah, I've gotten better at trying things that I normally would not try, because I was, I was not the kid that ate everything. I was a very picky kid, and then as an adult, it's taken me a long time to, try it and not kind of close my eyes, plug my nose, and try it, kind of thing. But like, I've tried caracóis. Not a big fan of caracóis, but every time we go to Portugal, I try to experiment with a new fish or something like that. So yeah, so I think I'll try the shishadas for the first time. Then I can report back, see if I like them.
Yes.
It's more about the experience too, because most of the time in the mainland, at least, you eat caracóis when you're at like the beach, having a beer, enjoying the esplanadas.
Yeah, exactly.
Would I order snails here? Probably not.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
It's a texture thing, It's just a texture thing. I know. Just can't get used to it. It's just like, like polvo. I've had polvo a couple times. Once I really liked it. And in fact, Antelmo Faria, owner of Uma Casa in San Francisco, it was his. And I was shocked that I liked it so much, because the time before I had tried it, it was just too chewy, and it was
not cooked right. That's the whole thing. And I've said this before with octopus. If it's done right, it's going to be the same texture as you cook it as you're cooking scallops. It's that same texture. And so it's a mixture of having a scallop and also the taste of crab. It's like the two of them together. And if it doesn't have that, if they overcook it just a little bit, just like a scallop, it's going to be rubbery. It's going to have whatever. And it's the same thing with octopus. It's just the way that it's cooked makes the difference, and truly does. Because I've had octopus before. I've gone, oh my God, this is like, I can't eat it. But then when it's done right, it's like, oh my God, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
so.
polvo lagadeiro tends to not be so overcooked because it's grilled, and usually it's like on point. If it's like you said, if made right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what other question do we want to have?
I don't think we asked the food memory question.
Oh, we didn't. We didn't ask you that.
Well, it might be, my answer to that might be what happens to every Portuguese kid. You have a bunny for a few days, and then your bunnies run off. Yeah. Also, another reason why I'm not a fan.
That's kind of traumatic.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Funny. And then a few days later, it's like they fatten that bunny up, and then it's done deal. It's like bunny ran off, and then you're having chicken.
So is that so that's your first food memory as far as, what's your first food memory as far as like the first thing that you ate? Like, even if it was
growing up as a kid, my parents were my parents are, super Portuguese. I'm first generation American, and whatever they ate for dinner, I was having for dinner. If I didn't like it, that's too bad. That's what you're eating. So I remember sardines. I never was a fan of it. And, now as an adult, I love sardines. And it used to be one of those things like, oh, mom made sardines, And then, of course, the whole bunny experience as well. That was pretty traumatizing. But, yeah, my parents are very good. And I hope to one day do this, once I have children of my own, I mean, you can't really control picky eaters, but I feel like, if this is what's for dinner and if you're hungry, this is what you'll eat. Hopefully they'll be into all the Portuguese cuisine that I'm into.
Yeah. I will say, so we have a 4.5-year-old, and it's tough because you just have to stick to your guns about it. That's really what it comes down to. So we made fish last night, and she didn't want it. And I said, well, the only thing you can have is your leftover lunch, because she didn't eat all of her lunch that we packed her for school. If you want that, that's fine. But other than that, you're not having anything else. It's either leftover lunch or what we made for dinner. So she had her leftover lunch, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you're like, I don't want to send her to bed hungry or whatever. But like you said, if they're hungry enough, they're going to eat something,
Yeah.
And which is funny is that she likes fish. She just didn't want it last night. So
she was being a 4.5-year-old, right?
Exactly right.
The other dish I'd say that I remember as a kid was my mom would make peixinhos da horta, which
I love those. Yeah.
yeah, which for me as a kid, I couldn't understand that. I'm like, this isn't fish. Like, I don't understand why it's called peixinhos. So for me, I remember being very confused.
Oh my goodness. You know what? She needs to make that for the restaurant.
Well, we do in the summer. So in the summer, my parents still have their own vegetable garden. And so when they have the long string beans, she'll make peixinhos da horta. But it's one of those things that we give it away to our customers. That's the thing too. When we have like fresh things or stuff from like home or our garden, we just give it away. Like we have like on, like Christmas Eve, we'll make malasadas and we just give them away to our customers. It's a way of,
I received them. I was one of those that received them.
Yeah, our customers have become our family. And so, when they support us, we support them. It's great. If you come in on that summer day when it's kind of on the quieter side, we'll be making peixinhos da horta.
Oh, I missed that.
I'm going to have to call you.
Yes. Next time, call me. Oh, definitely. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I know you have a wedding that you're planning this year. I know there's always something that's going on that you're planning, but anything new planning for Tia's? Anything where you want to take it next or keep it the way it is? Or how do you want to do, honey?
Well, I believe in always having goals. And so one of the goals that we just achieved was I was an all electric kitchen. And I just recently, just 2 weeks ago, closed down shop for 10 days and we converted to gas. And it's been, it was a huge investment because, we had no gas coming to the building. This building's from 1825. Everything's electric. And so financially, it was a big investment. We had to buy all new equipment, plumbers, electricians, like the whole exhaust system, Ansel system. And so that was huge. That was big. And, our cooking times have improved. Now it's a little bit of a learning curve because we're so used to cooking with electric that now it's like, okay, a muffin that took 5 minutes to grill now takes a minute and it could be burnt because we're cooking with gas.
Yeah.
It was a huge accomplishment just redoing my whole kitchen. And from that standpoint, just investing in the building, the business in the building, I think was huge. It was a huge deal, because we were so challenged in our kitchen. Future-wise, I want to continue to grow. I don't see a second location. I'm big on believing if it's not broke, let's not fix it.
Yeah.
I believe that we are so successful also because of our location, the character of the building, the type of food that we're serving, it's family style. If we were in any other location, I feel like we'd be another restaurant on the Avenida. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see a second location in our future, but I do see, more wine dinners in our future, maybe a father night, just more events. Now that we're not as challenged in our kitchen and continue to grow and, be known as, if you think Portuguese, you think New Bedford, you think Tia Maria's. Building on our brand.
Oh,
well, if you ever do decide to expand, California is a big state and we have a lot of room for another Portuguese restaurant. So
I'm going to leave that to my sister. My sister lives in California.
Oh, really? Where?
She's in Eureka. She's in the Redwoods.
Oh, yeah. So there's no Portuguese anything up there. I mean, there's Portuguese people, but yeah. Well, and then in Eureka, and then you could start doing the marijuana infused fish there's nata and things like that.
Angela.
Yeah, no.
We're gonna save this for another podcast.
Well, she's in the Emerald Triangle. That's where
Eureka, Humboldt County.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's been there for about 10 years. So my sister, she went to school. She graduated from Rhode Island School of Design. She was into glass blowing, and she had a business opportunity there. And so she went off, and it's been about 10 years now that she's been there.
Wow. And her art is glass blowing. That's what she does.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's doing really well. I mean, when she does visit, she does help out too at the cafe because, it's all hands on deck over here. Anytime I have any family, it's like if we're busy, it's funny. Like, I'll see like a cousin or an aunt. They'll just, come right back in the kitchen and they'll help us. We have an open kitchen. We have nothing to hide. Maria, you've come in, you peek.
I have.
Yeah, it's like all welcome. Just come on in. It really is being at your family's home. And, I'm grateful that everyone feels comfortable with us.
Well, this has been a wonderful time spending with you. I know, again, we needed to wait till the end of the day of your work day for you to be on our podcasts. And I know you're tired, but I really, both Angela and I are just so proud of you. And we're just very happy. We love to hear success stories, and we love to hear how our culture through food is, touching other people and also exposing people who've never known anything about Portuguese or the Portuguese through food. So, I mean, it's a wonderful way of showing people who we are. And that is through our food.
Thank you for having me. This is my first podcast ever.
Well, I think you did wonderful.
Thank you.
You're
I got
natural.
to hear this. And then I feel like I might ramble, but no, but thank you. Thank you for having me. This is a very positive experience, and you ladies are doing a great job. And, I look forward to seeing this grow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's time for us. And when Angela and I both started this, it was with the thought of, what? There are so many amazing Portuguese businesses out there and a lot of Portuguese people who are doing wonderful things out there. And we need to bring them forward and show everyone else, look, this is it. This is what people are doing.
Platform.
Yeah. And for those out there that are thinking, oh, I'd like to do it, or maybe I can't, maybe it's good to listen to someone who is doing it and hearing how they did it. And maybe now after hearing you, they, out in California, they're thinking to themselves, Angela's right. Maybe I need to open something. So
there's a demand. There's not that many restaurants over there by her.
Yeah. And I was there last year. I know firsthand what Angela's talking about. The ones that are there, they're really wonderful. They're great, but we need more. There's not enough of them. When you're talking about traveling, an hour to get to the closest Portuguese restaurant or 2 or 3, there's an issue there, folks. And I think we need to do more. So I think that's awesome. So thank you again, Jessica. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah. And I'll see you this weekend.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. I promise.
Yes. Come on down. We'll come on down over Adam.
For sure. Well, that's a wrap. So thanks everybody for joining, and hopefully if you live in the New Bedford area, please visit Tia Maria's European Cafe. Go online and check out the menu, check out the awesome pictures of the facility and the food. And if you don't live in New Bedford, then you need to go to New Bedford. And go there.
That's right. And if you go on Friday or Saturday nights for dinner, you'll probably see my husband and I there too.
Well, there you go. It's a bonus. It's like a celebrity sighting.
Yeah. She's a local celebrity, just saying.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you again, Jessica, and thanks everybody for listening. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Leave us a review on iTunes and share this podcast with all of your Portuguese friends and family and invite them to our table, because we want you to join us and hear about all the wonderful people doing wonderful things in our community. So with that, we'll say até amanhã.
Até amanhã ou até a próxima?
Até a próxima, sorry. So you know. Everyone.
Até amanhã pode ser isso também. Mas até a próxima.
Até a próxima.
All right. Ciao.
Thanks again for listening to our Portuguese Table podcast.
If you haven't subscribed yet, you can do so on SoundCloud or iTunes.
And all episodes can be found on our website at www.ourportuguesetable.com.
You can also reach us at feedback@ourportuguesetable.com with comments, questions, or suggestions. Até a próxima!